What's going on, y'all? It's JD Perkel. Today on the Hard Count, Nebraska has fired Scott Frost. Who's the potential next head coach for the Cornhuskers? Welcome into the Hard Count, the People Show for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a daily basis. Nick Brake does the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. So, yesterday, right around lunchtime, you get the update on your phone. Scott Frost has been fired as the head coach of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Pause right there. Husker Online, our Nebraska On 3 site, has a special going on right now, but it expires tonight at midnight. So today is Monday. It expires tonight at midnight. You can get $10 for a full year of coverage. It's a coaching search special, I should say. Make sure you get that. That is linked in the description to this video. Okay? Make sure you sign up for that. Again, goes away tonight at midnight. Don't want you to miss out on that. So Scott Frost gets fired by Nebraska with 16-31 as the head coach for the Cornhuskers. And the timing of this is fascinating because on October 1, the buyout for Scott Frost went down from $15 million to $7.5 million. So in some way, shape, or form, you sort of applaud Nebraska for saying, hey, time is of the essence. We got to have some urgency. We got to nip this thing in the bud. And this comes on the heels of the loss to Georgia Southern where they lost 45-42. They allowed a ton of yards, well over 600 yards total offense to Nebraska, and it kind of felt like the final straw. And for Scott Frost, his career at Nebraska has been marked by close losses. I mean, double-digit one-score losses, and that was for a lot of reasons why we felt confident about Nebraska going into this year, because we thought they upgraded the roster, thought they upgraded the staff, and maybe had a chance to do some good things. And obviously, after this game, it's the same song, 11th verse for Nebraska, another close loss. And regardless of how you feel about the program, regardless of how you feel about the roster, the common denominator in all of these losses is Scott Frost. Because a lot of these could have gone the other way, obviously. In a one-score football game, sometimes that's a play here, a play there. I mean, there are so many things that could set the game in a different way in all of these games. And the perfect synopsis, the perfect example of this situation at Nebraska, for me, can be referenced in one of my favorite movies, National Treasure. Nick Brake doesn't love the movie, but we move forward. There's a scene at the end of this movie where the main character, Nicolas Cage, is having a conversation with the FBI agent. After they've already found the treasure, he's having a conversation with the FBI agent because he says, hey, listen, somebody has to be responsible for stealing the Declaration of Independence. He says somebody, at the end of the day, no matter what happens, somebody has to be responsible for this whole operation. Somebody has to be responsible for what went down. Same thing at Nebraska. Regardless of how you feel about Scott Frost, whether you thought he was so close, if he had more time, maybe he gets there, or maybe you were already fed up with him a few games ago, he's the common denominator. If they had won those games, he gets the praise. They didn't, he's out the door. That's the way that this works. So again, Nebraska saying, forget that $7.5 million. We got to start this coaching search now. Trev Alberts has made it very clear they will do a national search. Mickey Joseph, the receivers coach, is now the interim head coach for the rest of the season. He will get full consideration for the position. But we're going to go ahead and assume that, hey, if it's not Mickey Joseph, who else would it be? If it weren't going to be him, who else would it be? And we have a hot board on Husker Online. So again, if you haven't yet gotten a membership there, I would encourage you to do that. The special ends tonight, so make sure you get that. There's two names, though, that I really want to make sure we look at. The first of which is Matt Campbell, current Iowa State head coach, a guy whose name has been thrown around in a myriad of coaching searches. Every time a big job comes open, his name gets thrown in there. Why? Because he built a program at Iowa State. He has built a culture and a program that has staying power at Iowa State. They're going to win as long as Matt Campbell is the head coach there because they buy into him, they buy into what he preaches, they buy into the system. It's not about having Breece Hall there, Brock Purdy there or not. It's about Matt Campbell. And so that's why it's attractive, because Trev Alberts, the AD for Nebraska, has said we want a culture builder. We want someone who's gritty, who's a grinder, who's a culture builder. And I think Matt Campbell, if you could get him away from Iowa State, which is an enormous if, many have tried, many have failed. If you could get him, you could have a chance to build that culture and bring his culture to Nebraska. I think if you can, that's a phenomenal get for the Cornhuskers. The other person that I'm looking at really closely, and this is, again, a couple things have to fall into place, but the head coach for the Carolina Panthers, Matt Rhule, would be a perfect fit for Nebraska. Look at where Nebraska is right now. A lot of uncertainty. Program kind of in disarray. There were high hopes. Vegas had them right around 7 wins. We had them at 7 wins. There was a lot of expectations after what was a lot of close games a season ago, so they're kind of in disarray. Matt Rhule, if you can get him from Carolina, or whether he doesn't end up keeping his job towards the end of the year, we're not here to discuss all that. If you can get Matt Rhule as your head coach, he is the perfect fit from an approach standpoint. Because look at what he did at Baylor. That program was in disarray. That program was at ground zero. There was very little expected of them when Matt Rhule came in and took over. He is about discipline. He's about culture. He's about the process. And I can say from experience, I was a player under Matt Rhule for a very brief period of time. And he is the law. And that's why I think he fits better in college, because he works well with structure and he does well creating structure. And that's what Nebraska needs. Seeing where he took Baylor from ground zero to playing for a Big 12 title and playing in a Sugar Bowl, I think that you would be very, very fortunate to get Matt Rhule as the head coach for your program. Obviously, with both these guys, both Matt Campbell and Matt Rhule, there's some things that would need to fall into place, whether it's getting them away from their current program or having the timing work out with the NFL season and getting him on board. There's some things that have to happen here for this to be a reality. I understand that. But credit to Nebraska for going on offense and saying, hey, $7.5 million, we hate to lose it, but it's more important for us to get the wheels turning in our coaching search today. So credit to Nebraska for the sense of urgency and understanding. If we want to recruit, if we want to have a chance in 2023 and beyond with some of these kids, some of these prospects that we really want, we got to have a face of the program. We got to have a coach that they know they're committing to and playing for. In addition to keeping kids that are already committed in the boat. Very, very good strategic move by Nebraska. So again, Scott Frost is out. The search begins. We're going to cover it here on the Hard Count, obviously. Husker Online, $10 for the whole year. That expires tonight at midnight. Do not miss out on that. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.